thought this was gonna be a new video, didn't you? Well, you were wrong. So, this is something I've been working on for a while, using an AI synthesizer. Sometimes it has trouble catching my voice, because I have a lot of trouble speaking. So, if it fucks up, you'll know why. It's also very proficient at swearing in English. I don't know why. Because it's modeled on a Japanese speaker. But, welcome to Dark Souls. I thought it would be fun to do a new playthrough for something that I can talk about. The first thing is I don't really like this tutorial because it's very bland. Just getting notices on the ground, it introduces you to the system, but like without knowing anything about it, you have no way of knowing that this is a developer message when you see any later. Because there are a few later, but that symbol with Oscar is the only way you know it's a developer message. And that it doesn't have a score, but I don't see those anyways after like 30. You really just don't pay attention to it anymore. Although you will never see any in this playthrough because I'm on Prepared to Die edition instead of Remaster, and Prepared to Die doesn't have online anymore. So, other than that, and this actually is the other thing about the tutorial I don't like, because it, by the way, you can see him up there. It requires you to come in here, get ganked by a boss, yep, and then read a message on the ground. And there's only one other instance in the entire game where you can aggro a boss and then leave. So it doesn't really teach you the things that it needs to be teaching you. In my opinion, I think it would be better if that was, instead of being a scripted boss section, with a, as you'll see later, a fog wall, if it was kind of like a chase section, sort of like what we're doing here with Rumors. I think that might have done a better job of introducing players to both fog walls and bosses, instead of it just being something that you do one time, and then maybe once, if you even notice it's possible. I played this game for 4 years before I found the other fog wall you can actually walk back out of. But other than that, I kind of like this tutorial because it's generally very simple. Very weak enemies that usually only come at you one at a time. Interesting speedrun and tip, it's actually faster to just talk to him than kill him. But, yeah. As you saw with the last hollow, there was only one. There's only one here. It's a good way to introduce you to the tutorial. I have a lot to say about pyromancy, but we will get to that later. Generally, this guy only comes up here if you make a lot of noise like I was running around jumping. If you walk around the corner, you'll hyper both of them. But they're still hollow, so they're still very easy to kill. Oh man only ever stands there and shoots at you, so it's very easy to dodge him. Introduces you to ranged combat, that is a very nice way. This is when you're supposed to learn about parrying. But I don't think it's a very good enemy for that, because he has very fast and slow attacks. They can get kind of baited and end up getting hit. And it also doesn't teach you what a partial parry is, which is something a lot of people probably don't notice. But when you parry, it still takes damage, but you hear the clink of your shield getting hit. That is a partial parry. It reduces the damage, but you don't get the full parry. And then something else that's kind of weird about this is if you just sit here, this guy will jump up here and smack you eventually. But you have no way of knowing them to do that. I think what they should have done to make it so that it's not just like an immediate oh fuck is have him jump once, not make it, and then get you on the second one. So that way you know, you don't know you're on a time limit the first time you come up there. Or pretty much any time you come up there, do you just sit around and wait for him to jump and smack you? So, I think giving you that little hint beforehand would make it a bit more fair that, hey, you need to make a decision. Either go on and fight or, I don't know, sit and quit and leave. You live in the asylum forever, I guess. And no reward jam. There's actually a lot of stuff in Lord Jam that you can get that you might not be familiar with. And there's also one of the things I've heard as a rumor that's kind of interesting is that he's played this game before. You know, this guy may not be on the up and up all the way, but he's your cleric trainer, which is kind of interesting. The guy who teaches you miracles might be a bit of a bad thing. And one of the ways that I've heard they want to show that is this little cache of items here. Because you get a homeward bone, that's presumably good for anybody. And there's the Morning Star, which he uses, and a talisman, which he uses for miracles. And then cracked red eye orbs, which you use for killing people. So if this is Petrus's stash, that's supposed to be your hint, I guess, that he's not exactly on the up and up. I'm not sure if that's actually something they intended or if that's just something the community prescribed to him because there's a talisman in there and he uses a spike mace like god weapon. But it is kind of an interesting choice. One of the things I do want to talk about now since we're in Lorjan is pyromancy. Well, magic in general has very kind of messed up priorities, where sorcery is just the only way you can play the game, really. Pyromancy does enough damage that you can boss with it very easily with a upgraded pyromancy flame, but you just don't have enough spellcasts to get to the boss. So unless you just run through the game and ignore all the enemies, you really don't have enough spellcasts to actually play as a full-on pyromancer. And then if you want to be miracles, tough luck. Oh well, I guess. With good luck with the only 3 aggressive miracles you can get in the game. But this is why sorcery is just ridiculously easy to get rolling. Because he sells soul arrows and heavy soul arrows, and you start with a soul arrow as a sorcerer. So you have more than 2,000 souls when you get here. You can immediately come down, buy this, and you'll have 60 soul arrows straight out of the gate. Like there's absolutely no way to stop you from just obliterating all the AI straight up to a boss, and then probably having heavy soul arrows to attack the boss with. So it's one of the things I really don't like about this game is just how unbalanced all the 3 magic sources are. Because in general, I really like how magic is divided. Because you have intelligence, or you have sorceries, which are based on intelligence, which is your own power. Then you have miracles, which are based on faith, which come from powers of the gods. And then pyromancy is sort of the power of nature. It comes from not you, but not any other kind of being. It's very, oh crap, that might have killed me. Okay. It's very naturalistic. You can get a lot of that from Laurentius once he spawns in. That's another reason that pyromancy is just so hard to get going, is that you can't get to Laurentius for a while. And it requires you spending 1,000 souls and knowing about the resonance key from the undead merchant. Or, wow, so fast jumped. I'm not gonna these guys. Or, starting with Master Key. So, kind of a disappointing way that it's very, very slow to start pyromancies compared to sorceries, because Rickard down there is just the one-stop shop for your early game sorcery means. And then like I mentioned before, miracles, you just don't have any options. I think the earliest offensive miracle you can get is either Lightning Spear, which requires leveling a good amount of decks, getting past the first two bosses, and then knowing that you're supposed to sit at a tombstone, or Graveborn Sword Dance, which require you to go all the way down into the catacombs. Good fucking luck. And joining the Graveborn tournaments, which is also extremely pointless on Better Die Edition because it doesn't work no online. But also, Graveborn Sword Dance is extremely AoE, or extremely RNG because it's AoE with random attacks. So the odds of you actually getting a kill with it are very, very low for PD. And every cast takes like 16 of the 20 casts you start, so you only get one shot. Not a very good introduction to miracles. And then there's also a glitch here I usually use that you can jump down to Loreberg. And that's the quick way to get, I forget the next sorcery teacher's name, but you can buy the Bellowing Dragoncrest Ring, which increases sorcery, but it also uses pyromancy damage. And outside of that, your only other two, and since Covenant spells, I believe, are mutually exclusive, you either get Gravelord Sword Dance, which is a meme, to be honest, or Lightning Spheres, which are probably your best and only option for aggressive miracle builds. And then the only other two aggressive miracles you can get are Wrath of Gods, which is extremely late named, and Innate Force, I believe is the name of it, which requires doing Sigurd's personal quests, and if you fuck up any step before that, I believe it's just gone. So, not a particularly well done system. Miracles in general work pretty good if you're just using them as extra heals, like for co-op, but like if you want to actually use them aggressively, you have almost no options, which is a shame. So it's kind of the sliding scale of sorcery got all the love, pyromancy got a good amount of the love, but has its own kinks, and then miracles, which are just kind of bottom of the house, their own. And another problem with, I know there's a fourth one of you somewhere. Another problem with pyromancy is that it doesn't scale to any of these stats. None of these stats have any influence on your pyromancy. If you're level 1 and level 100, you have the same pyromancy damage. It all scales off this item, which has very strange knock-on effects. Because in Dark Souls 1, co-op is based on your level and not your equipment. Co-op and invasions, pretty much. So it was very common to have someone invade in either this level or the parish with a plus 15 pyromancy flame and just obliterate anybody. Because you have nothing that can stop that kind of power. That's literally in-game sorcery levels of power. And you're just free to use it wherever you want at no cost. And I also had a very weird knock-on effect with co-op. Because co-op was based on your level. And putting souls into this means you did not put them in your level. So if you went really, really heavy into pyromancy, you could actually under-level yourself so hard that you can't co-op anymore. Like, you never get summoned for bosses. And it was really unfortunate. I'm not gonna mess with the Black Knight out. I've been needing to do it now. Another fun tip, backstepping gives you hyper armor, so you can just go through that like that. I've seen speedrunners do it. I just think it's funny. I didn't start with Master Key. I debated about it, so I could just go meme around with, not remember his name. Havel. That's right. I almost said Fat Man with the big dildo weapon, and then I was like, oh yeah, Havel. What's his name? This is also kind of an interesting thing, in that you're still a little bit in the tutorial area for Dark Souls. In the Undead Asylum, you're forced to jump down on the Asylum Demon to start the fight. In Taurus Demon, you can still do that if you climb up, but you have to climb up and then jump down yourself. And like Asylum, if you take too long, this guy will just jump up there and lead you. Another annoying thing about this game that you're never told is that free aiming is actually way, way better than free kill aiming for pyromancies, because these things can arc very, very far, but you have almost no way of ever knowing that, because the target is very low on the enemy's body, which is honestly a good thing, because that way you're not, like, looking away from the monster. You're not being able to see its hands and feet. If I was locked onto his head, I'd be like this the whole time. That's awful. And yeah, you can also, if you don't know, you can just climb back up there and do that over and over again for him. You can also get him to kill himself by when he jumps backwards. I'm not gonna do it because it takes forever if you're not lucky, but... And he does that if he's facing away from this. That will happen. I haven't seen that in a while. But yeah, you can get him to kill himself. Oh, Lord have mercy, I did not rest the bonfire. Okay, I was expecting this to be a little bit shorter than what it's gonna end up being, but I also made several mistakes, so thank you. God damn it. Another thing about this game that I really don't like, that I just remembered, is, for some reason, there's a hidden defense modifier, or defense penalty, that kicks in if you don't have every one of these slots filled. So because I'm not wearing this hat, I actually take significantly more damage than I would with the hat, even though the hat doesn't actually add all that much armor to it. It's very annoying. Kind of defeats the point of Fashion Souls. I think not having an equipment piece is already enough of a penalty. There's no reason to add an additional penalty because you don't feel like wearing a hat or gloves or something. Especially with how tight some of the role categories are that's really in the game. I hate when an arrow doesn't despawn, just hits you in the back. I mean, like I've said this before, I really, really love this game. But there are a lot of design decisions that are just strange. And you could tell it's a very, very old game. Demon Souls also had somewhat similar to this. And then when you get to Sekiro, if you leave, by the way, that barrel will respawn, and you can kick it down at you again, but you didn't go far enough away to rewipe the area. Sekiro, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, kind of Elden Ring as well. They really do work on the point a lot to get rid of some of these more janky things. But you also do lose quite a bit in the process. Quite a bit of character. One of the things I really hated about 3 is that pyromancy. They changed pyromancy so that instead of scaling to this thing, it scales to intelligence and faith, which solves the problem of your level being really whack. But that has a knock-on effect of basically doubling the stat investment you're required to run as a pyromancer. Because the soft caps, you want like either 35 or 40 of both intelligence and faith. Whereas just blanket sorcerer wants 40 intelligence. A blanket miracle caster wants 40 faith. You want them both, and then they have just more points than you to spend on additional stuff that benefits their build. And it also has the knock-on effect of making it so that you're way too versatile. The shit's diagram. In that, if you have sorceries, or if you're a pyromancer, there's absolutely no reason for you to just not have a sorcery staff and a miracle talisman, because you can just do both. Like, you can absolutely just carry around a healing miracle and bomb yourself up, or very long range sorceries. Oops. It doesn't matter. I don't even. I always talk to him and get the White Saint Substone. That's just a thing I do. There's absolutely, literally no reason, because you cannot go up in Prepare to Die edition anymore. They turned off the online mode after a vulnerability was discovered, and they've said they're never going to turn it back on. I think for the mod you can still do co-op, but nobody really plays this game compared to Remaster, so I've waited this long for a bug that lets you buy multiple copies. I almost jumped on and get to the shortcut. That lets you buy multiple copies of spells so that you can actually physically play the game as a pyromancer. Would you have a few fireballs and combustions? You can actually just fight mobs like that instead of having to use your melee weapon and conserve your pyromancies for the boss fight. But for some reason I can't trigger that anymore, so I guess it's time I move to Remaster so I can get back into co-op. And Remaster also changes a lot of things about co-op that makes the pyromancy detriments a lot less damaging. Like, they changed the way level scaling works, how co-op works. You can't get invaded by people with maxed out gear anymore. All that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was the first two bosses at Dark Souls. I don't think I'm going to do Carlos just yet, but I did want to make a short video testing out the voicing for the AI. I figured out of the three things in the world that I will never shut up about, it's Dark Souls, Toho, and the Stable Summoner in Final Fantasy XIV. So hopefully this was interesting, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. Let me know what you think, if the echo isn't too bad. And thank you for watching.